Edirne, this little city on the border of Turkey and Bulgaria, was once known as Adrianople. It had a long and complex history tied up with the Ottoman Empire and diverse communities, and situated in the northwest of modern-day Turkey, near the Greek and the Bulgarian borders. It was at one time the Ottoman capital before the conquest of Constantinople in 1453. It's a strange location that's made trade, culture, religious tolerance significant, and it had a huge Jewish population, which dates back at least to Byzantine times. And following the Ottoman conquest in 1361, when the city became the centre of commerce and culture, more Jewish immigrants were attracted. And in 1492, when the Sephardic Jews were expelled from Spain by the Catholic monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella, they came here, and Sultan Bayezid II welcomed these exiles, providing them with a refuge across the empire, including in Edirne. And the Sephardic Jews quickly became dominant in the Jewish community, and they brought with them the Ladino, this rich literary and intellectual tradition with skills in commerce, medicine, craftsmanship, contributing significantly to Edirne's economy and cultural life. And this is a story of a community that has been shattered and rebuilt itself and been shattered again. And today it hardly exists, but this amazing building. Look, this is the synagogue in Edirne. It was built in the early part of the 20th century. It functioned until about 1983, and then basically the entire congregation decamped to Israel, and it was restored by the Turkish government and opened by the same clergyman, by the same rabbi who led the prayers in the closing service in 1983. This is the bima, and the same rabbi who led the prayers in the 36 years before this synagogue was reopened in 2015. David Azuz led the prayers then, and he led the prayers at the reopening. So from 1983, in 1983 the entire congregation decamped to Israel, and I find that very, very moving, that here you've got a synagogue which is empty, and this was supposed to be the synagogue that replaced the 13 synagogues in Edirne in the 19th century. This is supposed to be the major synagogue, and it's now empty. The word synagogue is a word which means coming together, gathering together, congregating. So in a way, to talk about an empty synagogue is an oxymoron, isn't it? You can't have an empty congregation. And I find it really, really very sad, but it's a beautiful restoration. You look at the chandeliers and the wonderful ceiling. This is a statement of Sephardic architecture, and a wonderful statement of survival, resilience. But it's such a shame that it's really only the building which has survived. The Jewish community in Edirne, which was so thriving, has been reduced to almost nothing. If anyone is listening, if anybody is watching from Edirne, from the Jewish community here, I'd be really interested in talking to somebody, but I don't think there's really much of a community here, which is so sad. By the 17th and 18th centuries, the Jewish population of Edirne was one of the largest in the Ottoman Empire, rivaling those of Salonika and Istanbul. And then there was this catastrophic event that shaped the modern history of the Jewish community here, which was the Great Fire of 1905, which swept through the Jewish quarter, destroying 13 synagogues, homes, community institutions, And among the great casualties was the historic Grand Synagogue of Edirne, the largest synagogue in the Balkans. And in response to this devastation, in 1907, with the permission of Sultan Abdul Hamid II, the Great Synagogue was constructed, which is here, modelled after a synagogue in Vienna. And meanwhile, this thriving community has, it seems, completely vanished from Edirne.